Okay, we're going to talk about factoring trinomials in ax squared plus bx plus c form, but this time we're going to have a leading coefficient in front of the x squared. We still do our diamond problem, and we still have a times c on top and b on the bottom. And then, once we put it in factored form, we got to divide each factor by a, and if it doesn't divide, then the a moves in front of the variable, and I'll explain all that as we go. So if I look at the first problem, factor 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. So a is 2, b is 5, and c is 3. So again, on my diamond, on top is a times c, so 2 times 3 is 6, and b on the bottom. So again, I'm looking for numbers that multiply to get 6, but add to get 5. So if you have to, you can write down the factors of 6, which are 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. And then 2 times 3 is 6 and 2 plus 3 is 5. So my side numbers are 2 and 3. And then if you remember, our side numbers go inside the parentheses. So it looks like x plus 2 times x plus 3. Now, what happens here is we have to take this factor of a and divide each of the factors by a. So again, this 2 here comes from a, not from this 2. Now, if it divides evenly, in other words, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I can do x plus 1. If it doesn't divide evenly, 2 doesn't go into 3, then we take this factor, the a, and we move it out in front of the x, so it becomes 2x plus 3. So x plus 1 times 2x plus 3 is the correct factored form. Okay, example 2, 4x squared plus 7x minus 15. So a is 4, b is 7, c is negative 15. So a times c on top, 4 times negative 15 is negative 60, b on the bottom. Now, as the numbers get bigger on top, it may take you a little bit longer to find the side numbers. But keep in mind, if it's a negative on top and a positive on the bottom, it means I have to have positive and a negative, and the bigger number has to be positive. So let's look at what numbers go into 60. So I know 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, 6 and 10, and I think that's about it. So I know the bigger number has to be positive, so all these are negative. And which one of those adds up to get 7? Well, that would be negative 5 and positive 12. So I write x minus 5. Again, we use our side numbers here. And x plus 12. But again, since I had an a here, I got to divide both of these by 4. Now, 4 doesn't divide into 5 evenly, so we move it out in front of the x. So I got 4x minus 5. 4 goes into 12 evenly, so it's x plus 3. Okay, example 3, 3x squared minus 22x plus 24. So we got a is 3, b is negative 22, c is 24. So a times c on top, 3 times 24 is 72, and negative 22 on bottom. Now, since I got a positive on top and a negative on bottom, that tells me both side numbers have to be negative. So let's see what goes into 72. I know 1 and 72, 2 and 36, 3 and 24, 4 and 18, 6 and 12, and I think that's about it. But again, I know they're both negative. So now I got to figure out which one adds up together to get negative 22, and that would be negative 4 and negative 18. So we use our side numbers. So we got x minus 4, x minus 18, but we got to divide them by a. Well, a is 3. 3 doesn't go into 4, so we move it out front. So I got 3x minus 4. 3 goes into 18 6 times, so x minus 6. Okay, example 4. 16x squared minus 9. So if we look at this, the 16 is still a. This is that rare case where we don't have a b. So b is 0. C is negative 9. So on top I got a times c. Well, 16 times 9 is 144. But it's a positive times a negative, so it's negative 144. And then 0 on the bottom. So now we got to think what times what gives me negative 44 and adds to get 0. If you remember, this is a special case when we have 0 on the bottom. These numbers are opposite. So basically it's saying what's the square root of 144, which is 12. So negative 12 and 12. So we got x minus 12, x plus 12, and then, and again that's due to these side numbers, then we have to divide them by a, which is 16. Now, what you have to be careful about here, yes, 16 doesn't go into 12, however, this is not a reduced fraction. There's a number that goes into both of these, and that's 4. So really I want to write this as x minus 4 goes into 12 3 times and into 16 4 times. X plus 4 goes into 12 3 times, 16 4 times. Then, since this is reduced, this is the number I want to bring out in front of my x. So I got 4x minus 3 and 4x plus 3. Now, if you're able to recognize this is a difference of perfect squares, basically all we got here, the square root of 16x squared is 4x, square root of 9 is 3. But I mean, again, it's pretty easy to go through the whole diamond.